What's up, everybody? It is Juan from Raven Drone Solutions. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about um, working for several different people. So in other words, having different sources of income as a drone pilot. Now, this is something that I kind of found out very early on when I started in the drone industry. Now, I made several videos on companies that kind of inflate how much you can realistically make. Also about companies that don't really pay that well. So one of the things that I've seen as a drone pilot is that a lot of times companies will say, "Oh, you can make X amount, you can do this and that." If you do X amount of work in X amount of time, you can be making this amount, right? Unfortunately, anybody who's been in the drone industry for any length of time knows that this is very wishful thinking, and usually it doesn't happen this way. I mean, I had an interview with a company. I'm not gonna say who they are, but I mean, they offered a pretty good amount of payment and everything, and they seem to be quite fair with how much they pay, and they try to group as much listings together so you're not just doing one-offs. But they also told me, look, you might have to do one-offs every now and then, and you're going to get paid X amount, which is fine. I appreciate the honesty. But a lot of times you can't rely on just one company, like one source, because a lot of times they're not going to have enough work to keep you occupied, especially if you want to do this like full time, or if you want to make a substantial amount of money. Even companies like DroneBase, which, I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't really recommend because it really hinders your growth. But even them, even though they're a huge company and they always have stuff going on, you can't rely on that because there's never enough work for them. I mean, if you're not getting clients on your own, or let's just say you're like me and you wanna work under somebody else's banner before you go in and get your own clients, or let's just say it's an industry where, I mean, look, the average drone service provider like myself, we pretty much always act as subcontractors, like for example in the telecom industry, because usually those telecom companies already have relationships with other drone service providers. Not always, but they do happen. Sometimes you got to work for several other people doing the same thing to really make a decent amount of money. Now, this is something you also have to be very careful with. Now, you need to really read your contracts, and you need to ask the right questions. Actually, one of the biggest things that I asked this company was, do you guys have non-compete agreements? Because I've had to sign non-compete agreements before, and I seriously regret that decision. Some non-compete, and I even told them, look, I had to sign a non-compete agreement with another company doing something else, and personally, it was the worst decision. I'll never do it again because it really hinders my growth, and it just wasn't fair because, I mean, I got to be able to work. I got to be able to do other stuff. And they're like, no, that's fine. We get it. As long as you're not working for this specific company that does the exact same thing we're doing, you're fine. Because I said, look, yeah, I mean, I know that I cannot just rely on you guys to get me jobs. As much as you may say, well, look, we try to group as many sites in one day, so that way you can make like, a good chunk of change every day you're out at work. That doesn't always happen. And sometimes you may even have to work for two companies in one day. You never know. But that is something that I think you as a drone pilot and as a drone service provider, especially if you're acting as a subcontractor, you need to be very cognizant of. A lot of times companies, they go under. Some companies, they start changing things very quickly. Pilots are not getting paid very well, or, whatever the case might be. I mean, I've known pilots in that were working under some other company, and I mean, I'm talking everything was going smooth, and then just in 1 month everything went south, and they said, nope, I'm not staying with this company, I'm moving somewhere else. So I've known some pilots that only work for one company because they actually give them enough work, but it's also because of the way they position themselves. Some people, like, they're divorced or they're singles, they don't really care, they go from here to there, they're basically in hotels every day. And other people like me, I mean, I don't mind doing it from time to time, but generally speaking, I like to sleep in my own bed. Obviously, depending on what the job is, if it's something very lucrative, then I'll do it. But yeah, it's something you got to keep in mind. A lot of times, like I said, these companies, they inflate how much you can realistically make. And I think it's something that you really got to be very careful with, because if it's a company that they say that, but then they're like, hey, listen, but you have to sign a non-compete agreement that says you can't work for anybody else and blah, 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 blah. And, you have to work, you can't do anything for an X amount of time after you leave us. You kind of screwed yourself in that regard. And that's what happened to me. And, I'm trying to skirt around that issue, because I think it's idiotic, the stipulations. But and I even consulted with a lawyer, and they're kind of like, yeah, listen, they're kind of trying to just scare you. I don't really think this is going to hold up in court. But regardless of all that, that taught me a very powerful lesson, because this company that I was working with, they, even though they kept me busy for a decent amount of time, not 100%, they just weren't profitable for me. And sometimes I was actually losing money by working with them, and I just didn't think it was fair, their conditions. Stupidly, I signed the contract because I wasn't aware of the reality, and because I was very new to the drone industry, and I thought, all right, well, this company's going to keep me busy and blah blah blah. And turns out, no, I actually didn't get as many jobs as I would have liked. The pay was not that good. And yeah, overall, it's just the conditions were very, very unfair, in my opinion. So, I mean, yeah, that's something that you have to be very careful with. When you start talking to a lot of these companies, my advice is shop around a bit, shop around at different companies and see what they offer, if it's beneficial for you, because they're not all beneficial. Work with some companies that I'm honestly like, you guys are the worst. B360 is one of those that I would never recommend for anybody, simply because it was just absolutely horrible working for these people. The pay that they gave was just almost insulting, and they were just very rude to pilots. And they're not the only ones. There's other companies that are even worse. So just understand that, and understand that if you really want to make money, you're gonna have to be smart. Sometimes you're gonna have to piece it together from several sources, and especially as a contractor, you have the right to say no. So just make sure, whenever you're talking to different companies, make sure you read their terms and conditions. Make sure you ask a lot of questions, because what you don't want is for something to happen. Let's just say, you start working for this one company, they're not giving you enough jobs, and you're like, all right, well, let me go see what else is going on here. Somehow they find out about it, and then you're getting sued or whatever the case might be. You don't want that. You just, like I said, you just really want to avoid as many problems as possible. You just want really smooth sailing, and especially when you're running your own business, you got enough crap to deal with, you got enough stress to deal with. Trust me, it's just not worth it. So just understand that, do your due diligence, but definitely don't put all your eggs in one basket, because things happen. Some companies just go belly up. Some companies, they lose contracts, and if you're tied to one company and one company only, it's not always going to be easy for you. But you got to be very careful with who you sign up with, because some companies have certain stipulations that, in my opinion, are very unfair, but, it's also to protect them. So it is what it is. I mean, for me, if I was hiring contractors to do certain types of work, I mean, obviously I understand that, they have to make money too. I mean, for me, as long as it's not interfering with my business, as long as they're not, helping my competition, my direct competition, I mean, if that's not happening, then I don't see the point in restricting them. But that's just the way I think. Not everybody thinks that way. So just got to be careful with that. But yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there. The reason why I'm making this video is because, not just once, but several times I've worked with some companies that I thought were going to give me plenty of work, and turns out no. It turns out it was quite a disappointment, and I could go weeks without hearing anything. So, yeah, I had to start shopping around and, and starting to see, hey, what's over here, what's over there, because I got to make money, I got to pay bills. So yeah, just something to think about, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you've experienced something similar. If there's any advice that you would have to other pilots. If you disagree with what I'm saying, let me know, and maybe come up with a better solution. Anyway, guys, that is it for today. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Send me one of these. Subscribe down below if you haven't subscribed already. There's going to be a lot more videos coming soon. I got a lot of other ideas, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the veteran experience as well as an entrepreneur and as a drone pilot, because I saw that some of these videos actually did quite well. So I'm going to put more of those on. But yeah, anyway, guys, that is it for today. See you next time.